The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the teams.
Yes, My Music is back, with the same kind of ingenious questions, the same kind of evasive answers, and I'm glad to report the same contestants. David Franklin and Frank Muir versus Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. First, some lightish classical music. 1 mark if you can tell me the title, another mark for the name of the composer. And the first question, as always, goes to David Franklin. David, what's this?
If I mistake me not, this is music for a bottom, if you'll coin the phrase.
Yes, I can't deny that.
Yes, Midsummer Night's Dream, incidental music, Mendelssohn.
That's right, you went straight to the seat of the question, didn't you? Dennis, what's this and by whom?
After this long absence in my music, how pleasant it is to be out of one's depth again. Of course, it's terribly familiar and
not very confident about this.
And there's an uncertain March of the Priests, we believe.
No, I'd accept March, but it's nothing to do with priests, I'm afraid. I can't help you there, I'm afraid. Well, I can tell you the composition and you can tell me the composer for 1 mark, anyway.
One of us can tell you. Yeah.
It's from the Nutcracker Suite.
Tchaikovsky.
You got that unaided.
Yes,
that's right. Yeah. Well, I think 1 out of 2 would be fair. On with the question for Ian himself. Ian, what's this?
No, I'm not going to prevaricate on this. What about one for the price of 2?
Yes, all right. It was the Annan Polka by...
Strauss.
Which? Strauss.
Ooh.
Quick as a flash.
Johann.
He riposted. Yes, Johann Strauss II. You got 1 mark out of 2. Frank, what's this?
That was, try him and what?
Happy Hoedown. Happy Hoedown.
Happy Hoedown.
Well, I haven't got the happy, but I've got the hoedown written here, yes.
Hoedown.
From...
Sad Hoedown is from a series of pieces of American music transcribed for instruments by
Aaron Copland.
By Try Aaron Copland.
Yeah, Try Aaron Copland for your other mark, yes. Hoedown from Rodeo by Aaron Copland. A rather surprising 2 marks there. Next round, music and musicians. Here are some questions on general musical knowledge. For 2 marks, David. A famous opera singer was born in Madrid, gave a singing debut in New York at the age of 7, sang in public for the last time aged 71, and died in Wales. Name, please, for 2 marks.
Must be Adelina Patti.
Yes.
In company with Melba, she was one of the few opera singers to have a food named after them.
Ah, yes. Cornish patty.
Yes.
Yep. You got 2 marks anyway, David. Adelina patty, it was. Dennis, there's a particular kind of instrument on which there is one button. What important function does it perform?
Ah, yes. What used to have many years ago was a chromatic mouth organ. You had one button at the side that I could play a song which is called Meet Me Down in Sunset Valley, down beside the old mill stream on that. And you had to push the button every time. I don't know why. I think it changed gear or put you into...
Yes. Would you really say it was a button, though?
I would say...
Wasn't it a slide?
No, it was a button-shaped piece of metal. It was a button as is a button on a bell push. It would, in the court of law, stand up as being...
Well, I'll ask the jury whether you should have 2 marks, yes?
Yes.
Well, the poor, simple, foolish answer I had written down here was that referred to the button as the pin at the end of a violin.
Oh, rubbish.
Well, exactly.
Would you describe that as a button?
Yes, it is actually the button, and it's the thing which bears the pull of the strings. Anyway, you've got 2 marks, Dennis. Ian, what's a strathspey, and can you give me the exact derivation of the name? Strathspey.
Well, the derivation is that it is a Scottish dance that originated in Strathspey, in other words, the strath or area around the River Spey in Scotland. It's a slow dance, kind of thing.
Sort of Hibernian Zorba's dance, isn't it, really? You have 2 marks, Ian. Frank, what is a bebe?
It's a thing which transforms a hubby into a daddy.
Or...
It's something small. It's like a piccolino, which is a small musical instrument going sideways.
Well, why don't I give you 1 mark for small?
And shut up.
Yes. I'll tell you the next word, and then you tell me the word after.
Right.
It's a small, upright...
Piano.
Piano. Oh, it can't be.
Yes, piano. You've got your other mark. Somehow.
A baby grand.
A baby grand.
A baby
Bébé, the French name for a small, upright piano. Well, you got 2. Now for some vintage films. Some of them so old that even television viewers have forgotten them. From the evidence of the snatch of song you hear, I want, please, the name of the film, its date, and the names of 2 stars from the film. David Franklin.
It's an Astaire film, isn't it?
Yes, that's half a mark, Fred Astaire.
It's Roberta.
Yes, that's right. Roberta.
Roberta.
Roberta. The song being lovely to look at, yes, and the other star from the film, not the one you're thinking of. Fred Astaire and...
It's not Ginger Rogers.
No, that's right. It's nobody the audience is whispering at the moment. Does anybody in the audience know?
Well, if you do, tell me.
Yes. Say it again.
Irene Dunn.
Irene Dunn.
Irene Dunn. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Not near enough, unfortunately. 2.5. Oh, no, you haven't got the year yet. The year.
Around about 1933.
Yeah, I give it to you. 1935 it was. You have 2.5 marks out of 3. Film thinking cap on for Denis Norden.
Miriam is wearing her silk organdy.
Dennis, you can put me down now. Just to
That's
remind...
interesting because it doesn't come from a film, actually. It comes from a show. It comes from a Broadway show called Irene.
Well, did
originally,
anybody...
which was 1920-something.
Well, did anybody film it? Let's put
Yes,
it
it was in Anna Neagle's Hollywood era. She made 3 films. She made Irene, Sunny, and No No Nanette. And that would be round about the early 1940s.
Yes, I want 1 more star, please. You're right, it's Irene 1940, and An Eagle.
That was Ray Milland.
Yes, that's right, and Roland Young. You got 3 marks. Film song for Ian.
Moonlight becomes you,
yes, the film,
I knew
the
from
film,
the start.
So I'm just giving a bit, just off the cuff. Road to Morocco.
Yes, the year and a couple of the stars.
Bob Hope, Bing Crosby.
Yes, the girl.
Dorothy Lamour.
Yes, that's right, that'll do.
I would have said about 1941 too.
41 is right. Yes, there's your 3 marks.
Wasn't that the one that had the famous scene with the 2 camels, where the one camel said to the other, "When I look at all these human beings, I'm very glad I'm a camel," and the other camel said, "I'm glad you're a camel too, Myrtle." Memories of leave.
Yes, Frank. Here's a film song for you.
It's an Eddie Cantor.
Yes.
Oldie. Roman Scandals.
Yes, Roman Scandals. And the year?
19...
Yes.
Half a mark. 32.
33 was the year, and for your last half mark, please, 1 other star. Sorry about this.
Eddie Cantor.
Eddie... I'm going to give you 3, yes. Eddie Cantor, Ruth Etting, Gloria Stewart, I have down here. Glancing at the score, I see that David Franklin and Frank Muir lead at the moment by 2 marks. Next round, opera. I'm going to give you the name of an opera, which is also the name of the leading character, and for 2 marks, will you please tell me something about the character? The sort of description that might appear on his or her passport, perhaps, plus a word or 2 about what happens to them. Yeah. David Franklin, tell me about Simon Boccanegra.
Well, Simone Boccanegra, as we used to call him in the dressing rooms. Simone Boccanegra was the Doge of Venice, or as we used to call him in the dressing rooms, the doggy of Venice. In other words, he was the chief magistrate.
Yes.
That's about enough, isn't it?
That's fine.
2
yes,
marks?
That's excellent.
Do you want to know who wrote the opera?
Tell me.
Verdi.
Thank you, yes. He restored, not Verdi, but Boccanegra, restored Genoa's maritime glory by driving African pirates from the seas. 2 marks. Dennis, would you be good enough, please, to tell me something about Boris Godunov?
He's a Russian, and he sings an aria that goes, when I've had a couple of drinks on a Saturday, Moscow belong. He was Russian, and he appears in an opera as the principal character. I think he was he occupied a position of some authority.
Yes. You could say that, yes.
He was a tyrant cigar. A tyrant czar.
Yes. Must do something about your writing here.
Tsar, that's it.
That's right.
From the aria Tsardust.
No. Do you want any more? We can.
No, thank you. No, he was a usurper. What that would have come out as in your handwriting, I can't imagine.
Uxbridge. He was an usperer.
Yes. 2 marks. Ian, your turn. A quick rundown, please, on Norma.
She was a high priestess in, I think, what is laughingly described as a druidical temple in that country which was divided in our school days into 3 parts, Gaul, under the Roman occupation.
3 parts, soprano, mezzo, alto.
She was a soprano, surprisingly enough. And she fell in love with the Roman proconsul whose name was Pollione.
You must have played him. Or her.
No, I've never played in this opera, but I've seen it a number of times.
Anyway, you're right, of course, for 2 marks. Frank, what do you know about a chap called Fidelio?
Nothing. Hang on. No, like the Roman chap with the short toga, Polly, somebody or other, he was a woman.
Yes, that's the first thing.
Fidelio was a woman.
Can we have a bit more?
Dead.
Between the two of you?
Tried to rescue her husband from political prison in Spain.
And did it.
I'll take your word for it. You have 2 marks. Here are some happy bits of piano playing. Just 1 mark for the title of the tune. David.
It's Kitten on the Keys.
Like the pussy.
Right, yeah.
Which is the oldest musical joke in the business.
Well, leaving aside that, wasn't it written by a chap called Zez Confrey?
Zez Confrey, yes, that's right. Quite easy to play quickly, not very easy to play at the proper steady tempo like that, as a matter of interest. Kitten on the Keys is right for a mark. Dennis, what's this?
Super.
Yes, I saw you swaying away there nostalgically.
Yes. That's the old piano roll blues.
Yes, there's a mark. Ian, are you paying attention?
Yes.
Here comes yours.
Indeed. 12th Street Rag.
12th Street Rag is right for a mark.
Yes, I could go on like that for a long time. Yeah.
And we're going to hear a bit more of the one for Frank Muir. Well, have we a title?
No.
No? Well, I can't give it to you then.
It's a rag.
Yeah, that's half a mark. It's a rag. Something rag.
Something rag. Exactly. I could not have put it more succinctly.
Well, you could have put it better, because you could have said temptation rag for the other half. Anyway, half an arc out of 1. Why not?
Oh.
All the 4 questions coming up now are about a very special musical occasion, which took place quite some time ago. David Franklin, on this occasion, the monarch rose to his feet and remained standing to the end, a tradition maintained by audiences to this day. Composition, please, and the year.
The Hallelujah chorus from the Messiah.
That's right, yes. The year, please.
The year?
The year is what we want after, please.
For how many marks?
1.
1758.
No, it's not really near enough, I'm afraid. It was 1743. Dennis, who was the reigning monarch concerned, and where was the performance?
George II.
George II, and where was the performance we talked about?
Covent Garden?
Yes. Now the Opera House, then called the Theatre Royal, Covent Garden. Ian, what nationality was Handel at birth and at death?
At birth? Oh, I think he was a Saxon.
Yes.
In other words, he was born in Saxony, not an Anglo-Saxon.
That's right. Yes,
but he wasn't, in a sense, you could have called him an Anglo-Saxon, because he was naturalised British at the end.
That's right, yes.
Saxo-Angland.
Yes.
Naturalised in 1726. You got 2 marks. Frank, another great composer, later heard the Hallelujah Chorus in Westminster Abbey. He rose to his feet, weeping, and made a famous remark. What was the remark, and who was he? Lovely thought, but no. I'm sure he'd rather have said that now, looking back.
Where you from, lad? He rose to his feet, weeping. I've no idea. It's given them a good hide.
You don't know who it was?
Haydn
was right. That was perfectly true.
He didn't...
That's 1 mark out of 2. What he said was, he is the master of us all. That's what Haydn said of Handel. Now for the moment in our show which has the talent scouts reaching for their fountain pens. This is where I ask each of our panellists in turn to complete a song. When the piano stops, you carry on singing. 1 mark for getting the tune right, 1 for getting the words right, and 3rd mark, as always, for carrying on where the music leaves off. David.
Put me anywhere, I don't care. Liverpool, Leeds or Manchester, I don't care again. Oh, to be my best girl, snuggling up again with soon shall be. High-tea, Italy, high-tea, hurry me back to Blighty. Blighty is the place for me.
And you were too old to fight, too.
Give or take a word or two, that was right, for 3 marks. Dennis, here's your song.
I hate this bit. Through the fields of clover we'll go down to Dover on your golden wedding day. That was the Mary Max version.
Yes. Mercifully short, wasn't it? Yes, that's right.
I didn't
know. 3 marks, almost a mark for each word. Anyway, you've got 3.
Each key.
Yeah, each key.
You were in the same key all the way, then.
Here's a fair treat from Ian Wallace.
Happy and fancy-free, old Father Thames keeps rolling along down to the mighty sea. What does he know? What does he care? Nothing for you or me. Old Father Thames keeps rolling along down to the mighty sea. He never seems to worry, doesn't care for fortune's fame. He never seems to hurry, but he gets there just the same. Kingdoms may come, kingdoms may go, whatever the end may be. Old Father Thames keeps rolling along down to the mighty sea.
I imagine that was in the key of C, or I couldn't have got up to that top note.
£600 a performance.
Well, follow that, as we say in the profession. And to follow that... to follow it, Frank, your song.
And down dilly-dally on the way.
2, 3, 4.
Off I went the cart with me and panting it, and I followed on with me old couple in it. I diddly and dally, I dallied and I dilly, I lost the way and went around. But you can't last the old time copper when you can't find your way home.
Yes, that's it. Let's look at the final score. And I see from the final score there's half a mark in it. Winners by half a mark, Ian Wallace and Denis Norden.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden and Ian Wallace. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the programme was produced in London by Tony Schreier. The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the teams.
Hello. Taking part in this test of musical knowledge are, as usual, Frank Muir and David Franklin, competing against Ian Wallace and Denis Norden. When Beethoven was born, on the 16th of December 1770, he little thought that his music would one day be accorded the honour of providing the first round in this week's programme. The composer then, gentlemen, is Beethoven, so don't try to get marks for giving me the composer's name. For 2 marks, can you tell me, please, just the name of the piece? David Franklin.
Something missing from this.
Yes, you could say there is, in a way. Not from that particular passage, but from the work as a whole.
No,
yes.
there's an instrument which is essential for the whole work.
I think you got it.
And I think it's a dirty trick to give me a piano concerto without having a piano in it.
Which one?
I think it's the Emperor.
You have got 2 marks, because it was the Emperor Concerto, Concerto number 5, for piano and orchestra. Dennis, what's the title of this?
Now you've got something missing, I can tell you. It's Beethoven's composition for piano.
Well done.
Yes, very good. You don't know any more than that, do you?
No,
Would you say it was a sad sort of piece, or a happy sort of piece?
Yes, it's Beethoven's sad piano.
You've nearly got it, actually. Put it into French.
Triste. Pathétique. That's
yes.
it.
Now, let's start again, shall we?
It's
Denis Norden.
Beethoven's pathetic, yes. Fancy me getting to that. Yes. Beethoven's Pathétique.
Would you say it was quick or slow?
I thought that was a bit slow.
You're right. Right again. It's the slow movement of the sonata Pathétique by Beethoven. You're lucky to have him, Ian, aren't you?
Does much better when I keep quiet.
Well, let's see how you get on with your bit of Beethoven.
In a way, the same trick slightly has been played on me as on David, because that's not the bit one would expect. That is the second movement of the 5th Symphony.
You were right. Slow movement of the 5th Symphony, that's 2 marks. Frank, here's your bit of Beethoven.
too fast, not too slow, and sort of medium loud, really.
Medium bound.
Is it egg bound or the earache symphony? Eroica.
You're only half right, actually.
Eroica's only half right.
Very ingenious clue I've just given you.
What do you mean, Eroica's only half right?
When you said Eroica, I thought immediately, the third, you see, and this is the 6th symphony, double that. It's from the 6th or Pastoral Symphony, the Shepherd's Hymn. I'm afraid it's no marks there. Now, the next round, some random facts about music and musicians. David, it's reported, David, that a great singer performed his role in one opera with such passion and fervour that the scenery collapsed on top of him, knocking him out. Who was he and which opera was it?
It's a reference to a chap singing the part of Samson. And in that case, it can be none other than Enrico Caruso.
That's right. I always felt that the scenery was supposed to fall on him, because that's in the story of Samson.
Yes, but not as much. I mean, you gave it
Not in the interval.
Headline, singer plastered.
Brings the house down.
Where did it happen?
I don't know where it was, frankly, no, but the opera was, just the correct name of the opera was...
Samson and Delilah.
Yes, by Saint-Saëns. There's 2 marks, if ever I heard 2 marks. And it was indeed Caruso. Dennis, talking of Caruso, who played the lead in the film of his life, and when did the actor concerned die?
Well, that's tempering the wind to the shorn lamb.
Yes, that come down to your level.
It was Mario Lanza.
Yes. When did he die?
About
1958?
58, 59.
Yes, it was October 1959. You have your 2 marks. Ian, Boots, 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 Boots. That poem by Kipling was set to music by J. Petter McCall. Who was he and where did he come from?
Peter Dawson.
Yes.
And he came from Australia.
He did. And he called himself J. Petter McCall for the purposes of that song. Using, I think, his wife's maiden name, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I
don't know. He wrote quite a lot of songs under that name, I think.
Yeah,
I never know quite why.
Peter Dawson.
I thought it would have been rather fun to say I'm going to sing a song I wrote myself.
Anyway, he wrote Boots, Boots. 2 marks, Peter Dawson, Australia. Frank, in a famous animal carnival, one of the movements is named after a creature with scales. Which creature and who wrote the music?
Carnival of the Animals, Saint-Saëns. The animal was a fishmonger. What?
Not exactly.
Pianist? Is that the answer? I'm told that the answer's a pianist.
Ludicrous as it may seem, yes.
Oh, is it?
Yes. You've got 2 marks.
Oh, it's pointless.
No, pianists are animals, human animals, and they play scales. This was the pun that Saint-Saëns did for us in another language other than his own. There, Robin.
That's senseless.
We call this next round Togetherness, because in it you will hear some duettists. A mark for each of their names, and another mark for, in your case, David, the name of the composer.
Isabel Bailey.
Yes.
Kathleen Ferrier.
Yes.
Mendelssohn.
Yes. That's the way to answer a 3-part question for 3 marks. Dennis, full names of these 2 singers, please, and another mark for the names of their 4 colleagues.
Bumpity 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 riding my charger. Bumpity 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 travels an Indian Raja. All the girls declare that I'm a gay old shager. Hey, hey, clear the way, here comes the galloping major.
4 colleagues were Nervo and Knox and Norton and Gold.
Yes.
And actually, that was Flanagan Allen, but I don't think they sang it in the show, because in the show they all came on these hobby horses and they galloped around the stage on the hobby horse, but I don't think Ches Allen was in that show.
No. Full names, anyway, are Flanagan and Allen. Full names,
Bud Flanagan and Chesney Allen.
Chesney Allen, yes. And there's your 3 marks. Ian, again, please. Full names and title of the song.
To the honeysuckle's parents it came as a shock. The vine-weeds they cried on inferior stock. They're uncultivated, of breeding bereft. We twine to the right, and they twine to the left.
Haven't the faintest idea. Very noted duettists who also write all their own material.
And some of yours.
Michael Flanders and Donald Swan.
Yes. Title of the song?
Something about the bindweed. Honeysuckle and the bindweed.
Yes, the lady in the audience there has got the absolutely correct title. Madam, once again, please. Mésalliance.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, madam.
Yes. How you going to pronounce it, yeah. We'll give you that, though, won't we, Ian? That's 3 for you. Frank.
Stand by, madam. Stand by, madam.
Frank, a mark each for the singers and a 3rd mark for the name of the one-act play in which the song appeared.
Your eyes looked into mine and followed every word. The color of the whole world was at first became true. My universe tumbled into the earth became heaven for you.
It's an old card. And Gertrude Lawrence, the high one was an old card, and
very likely.
And it came from tonight at 8:30.
Well, I said the one-act play, so that's implied. You were trying to get away with that, weren't you?
Yes.
The one-act play from tonight at 8:30.
Don't know.
No.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here looking like a nana.
Yeah. I think 2.5 out of 3 is called for here because you did get tonight at 8:30. It was shadow play. Let's have a look at the score. My scorer can do her sums quickly enough. Oh, there's a big difference here. Ian Wallace and Denis Norden leading at the moment by 3.5 marks. Instruments of the orchestra for 2 marks. David, many works are scored for double woodwind. How many players does that involve, and what are their instruments?
8.
Yes, and they are...
Flute.
How many, please?
Well, 2 if they're
Yes,
double.
all right. Yes, let's have it. 2 flutes, yes.
2 flutes.
1 double-sized one.
Yes, this week I'll have 2 flutes. 2 oboes,
yes.
2 clarinets,
yes.
and 2 faggots.
Yes, 2 faggots. All right, otherwise known as bassoons. Yes, there's 2 marks out of 2. Dennis.
Will you send them or shall I take them with me?
Eat them here, I think you'll do. Dennis, underneath the wooden notes of the xylophone are metal tubes. What are they for?
That's a good question. Now, I used to be a stagehand at one time and used to have to set the xylophone behind, while the comedian was in what they call the front cloth, it's like behind the curtain, quietly. You push a xylophone and those metal tubes go behind. What they are for, as far as I know, is to catch the light from the spotlight and dazzle the people in the front row. Other than for central heating or some kind of drainage, I can't think.
Well,
resonance, yes. They make the sound.
Resonators. They're called resonators there to enhance the tone. 2 marks, anyway. Ian, conductors, orchestral conductors, arrange the seating of their orchestras in different ways. Some like the brass on their right, the harp on their left, and so on. But they never seem to place the violas on their extreme right, preferring to put the cellos there. Why is this?
But it's partially, I should imagine, a question of sound balance, because if they've got the fiddles, the higher sound instruments on the left, it should be balanced by the lower bass instruments on the...
It's a little more practical than this.
Is it because they have larger instruments, there is more between them and seeing the beat?
No, the reason is because violas are played in the violin position and their sound would be going away from the audience. They would be shielding their own sound from the audience if they sat there. The audience would in fact be looking at and, as it were, listening to the underside of the viola. Frank, watching a symphony orchestra in action, one sometimes sees the timpanist lean down and place his head close to one of the drums. What is he doing?
He's having a swift gin. Actually, it could be a cup of tea if it was a kettle drum.
Oh, yeah.
He's actually scratching the skin with his finger, isn't he, with a fingernail, to get the tone, the note. And if it isn't right, he then has to panic round and unscrew the faucets.
That's right. He is, in fact, tuning it to a new note and then checking that he's found the right note before coming in with a bang, you might say. Yes, there's 2 marks for you. Now, the next round. This is to do with bird spotting. David, can you give me...
What?
Spotting, you know. Can you give me, please, David, the proper name, and I do mean the proper name, for this bird?
Is it weakness of intellect, birdie, I cried, or a rather tough worm in your little inside?
No,
I'll give you a clue, David. It's Geraint Evans.
It won't help him.
A Welsh warbler.
True though it is, Actually, a Welsh night warbler now. Sir Geraint Evans.
Dennis, surely you've got something to contribute to my question.
He doesn't really like being interrupted, Dennis. David.
It's, isn't it a tomtit?
Yes, but you see, we ornithologists don't call it that. I asked you for the proper name. Is it? It's not a long-tailed tit or a bearded tit or a penduline tit, but a...
Blue tit.
No.
A big tit.
No.
A little tit.
Think of the last line of the song.
How can they keep it up?
Not tit-willow.
Willow.
Willow tit.
Willow tit is right. Yes.
Lord.
How long it took to drag it out of you. Yes.
Shaped like a cricket bat.
Dennis, which bird is this?
There were 2 birds mentioned in that little bit. Crazy as a loon.
You're looking at me with that superior expression.
Yes.
You know I hadn't thought of this, don't you?
Yes, I know. It's not often I get a chance to be superior on this programme about music. It actually is the bird that is the principal character in Merchant of Venice, Skylark.
He insists on his pound of worms, yes. Yes, Skylark is right. Do you know who wrote the song, just as a matter of interest?
Was it Johnny Mercer?
No, Hoagie Carmichael.
Hoagie Carmichael.
Doesn't matter. Ian, your bird first bred in Scotland in 1951. So you may have seen it when visiting your Ain folk. Listen carefully to its song, which I myself recorded.
Well, that must have been an afternoon's work for you.
A session's a session.
It would be
the woody woodpecker.
Yes, the woodpecker I had in mind. The green woodpecker.
I can't... Oh, the green. I didn't know which variety you wanted.
No, certainly. You've got 2 marks for woodpecker. Frank, your bird has a long introduction, as you'll discover.
I knew you'd like stuffing 2 fingers in the appropriate place and whistling through the back of your teeth. And it's the song is called A Blackbird.
Yes, thank
and
you.
The
you could guess at the siffleur, couldn't you?
Was Ronnie Renald.
Yes, that's right.
With an E.
Yes, and the blackbird. Yes, that's right.
Steve, have you ever tried to play one of those bird warbler things?
In the Toy Symphony once, yes.
Yes.
It's a very painful experience.
I had a most embarrassing experience at a concert the other day with one of those. It was I was supposed to play this and a cuckoo, not in the Toy Symphony, but in a Strauss waltz. And I thought I'd filled up the warp. You've got to put water in this. It looks like a miniature Hubble bubble. Or it looks rather medical, in fact. It's sort of a container with a silver tube coming out. And I put it in my music case and took it up to the side of the platform. and I hadn't noticed that the water had spilt out in my music case. And without water, the thing is no use at all. All it does is just... And I'd practiced this thing for a week. I could do all... And they give you instructions about all the different birds and how to do it. And I stood up there in front of this... It was supposed to be funny, this. And I just stood up there and went... And I'm trying to get some of my own saliva into it. In the tacit passages. And all that did was just to make you... And the audience just gave me the politest and quietest round of applause I'd had for a long time at the end.
Well, after the bird song, the man song. 3 marks here, one for the music, one for the words, and the 3rd mark, as usual, for carrying straight on When the Piano Stops. David Franklin.
Bill, have you bought the street? Bill, laugh. I thought I should have died when we knocked him in the old Kent Road. Go blind me, knock, laugh. Fallen down, and there they came in a nice old geezer with the nasty cough. Sees my missus takes his topper off in a very gentlemanly way. Ma'am, says he, I have some news to tell. You're rich. Uncle Tom from Camberwell knocked off recent entity to sell, leaving you his little donkey shay. So watch here, all the neighbours cry. Who you going to meet? Bill, have you bought the street? Bill, laugh. I thought I should have died when we knocked him in the old Kent Road.
Extra marks for the duetists.
Yes, so they're 3 for neatness. Very good. Dennis, here's your song.
Don't laugh already.
No, that's quite a right. Right, here is Denis Norden's song. Now be nice about it.
I sit along an alley. She sits along a Joe.
Can we laugh now?
She's got a little hole in the frock, hole in the shoe, hole in the sock where the toe peeps through. Oh, Nellie is the fairest town on alley.
Louder.
On Nellie's doorstep, I'm wondering now.
Gone quiet again.
Will little girl Nellie remember Joe? And
Never mind.
I can never get the tune of that bit either.
No. We leave the bitter end. Thank you, Denis Norden. Yes. That's
Randolph Sutton, actually.
Oh, yes. Well, there's 3 marks there. And, Ian, this is one you know, so this is your song.
Just a wee jock and Doris before we gang awa. There's a wee wifey waiting in a wee button ben. And if you can say it's a brobrecht menlich nicht, you're all recht, you can. Come on, all together. There's a wee jock and Doris, just a wee young, that's all. Just a wee jock and Doris before we gang awa. There's a wee wifey waiting in a wee button ben. And if you can say it's a brobrecht menlich nicht, you're all recht, you can. Does anybody need a translation of that at all?
3 marks. Now, song from Frank Muir.
You must have been a beautiful child when you were only starting to go to kindergarten. You must have sent the little boys wild. And when they started selling blue ribbons, you bet you showed the other kids how. I could see the judge's eyes when they handed you the prize. You must have been the cutest. Oh, you must have been a beautiful baby, but God, look at you.
And that, I'm afraid, is the end of my music for another week. It's a victory for Ian Wallace and Denis Norden.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the program was produced in London by Tony Schreier. The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the teams.
Another edition of My Music coming up with our usual contestants. The sesquipedalian David Franklin, the undiactinic Denis Norden, the congeneric Ian Wallace, and the frequently susurrus Frank Muir.
Filthy.
When I say the first round involves music for dancing, please don't think I want you to dance, gentlemen. Just identify. David, after the intro, I always think this sounds a bit like Ma Bella Margherita, but it's in fact ballet music. Title, please, and composer. David.
Yes, ballet music from Act 2 of Verdi's Aida. I've personally found this very tiring. No, don't misunderstand me. I never danced it. It was merely that I had to stand at the head of my platoon of priests down in the OP corner for hours. And this ballet I found very hard on my feet.
Dennis, what's this and by whom?
I must have heard it 1,000 times.
Yes, we've now heard it 1,001.
No, if I'd only had the sense to ask, what's that called?
Ballet music, is it?
Yes, well, it found its way into a ballet. It didn't start life that way. I can't help you. No, it found its way into Lace to the Feed. Music by...
Delibes.
No. Can't even give you that. No, Chopin. It's the grand, brilliant waltz that Chopin wrote in E-flat. Found its way, as I say, into the score of Lace to the Feed, of course. Not that Chopin called it that himself. Ian, who dances this and in what?
An element of trickery in that one, because there's a slight reminiscence of a bit of theme music from a film.
Well, La Ronde, yes. It's not really trickery on my part. It's trickery on the part of Mr. Oscar.
Well, it's trickery on the part of whoever was listening to Berlioz.
Yes.
Because this is the danse of the sylphs.
The danse of the sylphs, yes, or the dance de les sylphs. Yes.
Well, you were at school more recently than me, Steve. And it's the Damnation of Faust.
Yes, that's right. Who was the composer once more, please?
Berlioz.
Yes, thank you. There's your Yes, you'd be right. Sort of sideways dance.
And things. And,
Yes.
You know.
Danse macabre by... Oh, really?
Sanson.
Sanson. Yes. Now for some musical terms. Anyone who reads music has to know some Italian, German and French.
Can't read music.
No, but you really... Otherwise you're likely to da capo con amore when you should have poco a poco accelerando or something. A very ugly scene can sometimes ensue. David, let us suppose you are performing a heftig Großvater dance. Who would you be and what would you be doing? Heftig Großvater dance.
Well, heftig means passionate,
Yeah.
and Großvater means grandfather, and I would have thought that was a contradiction in terms.
Passionate grandfather dance.
A passionate grandfather dance.
Well, the
No
rather
idea.
elegant...
Or you started off by saying, if I were performing whatever this is, what would it be? I should like to make quite clear it's most unlikely I shall ever be performing one of these. What is a passionate grandfather dance?
It's a Derby and Joan club and the cocoa's flowing.
The rather nice translation I have here is a boisterous grandfather's dance. Boisterous, in this case. Is what I'm told. Anyway, you've got 2 marks out of 2, so that's all right. Dennis, what and whence is a Bergamask?
A burger mask is what you put on your face when you're eating Wimpies. Is it B-U-R-G-E-R?
No, B-E-R. G-A-M.
Is it? No, it's nothing to do with berger, with a shepherd.
No, a different route.
It's a dance. Let's settle for a dance.
Let's settle for that, yes.
Of foreign origin. By...
I've told you before, it depends who you are.
Who are all passion spent. What?
The one in Shakespeare?
Yes, Bottom mentions it in The Dream.
Well then, I don't know. I really don't know what it is.
Well, I can only give you 1 out of 2, if that, really. Rustic dance, imitating the peasants of Bergamo, Italy,
Bergamo. Oh, yes.
noted for their clownishness. Just to confuse you, the third of the pieces in Debussy's Suite to Bergamask is Claire de Lune, the popular piece. Anyway, you have 1 out of 2. Ian, what would you be inclined to do with a Dudelsackpfeifer? And where does one of them figure in an opera title? Dudelsackpfeifer.
This may take some time, I think. Let's take it a doodle. What would you do with a doodle? Yeah.
I should start at the other end if I were you.
Perhaps so, with a fifer.
Work your way through.
Well, my father was a fifer, and I married a fifer.
It's 100 fifers in all.
And there was a sack in the middle.
Yes, I mean...
Fifer, Scott, sack.
Yes,
bag.
you're on the right track.
Bagpipes.
Yes, you'd stick it under your arm, wouldn't you?
I'm very relieved to hear that.
And for your other mark, please, where does it figure in an opera title?
Schwander.
Schwander the Bagpiper.
Bagpiper.
Yes, that's right. Famous for its polka and fugue, which are often played by orchestras. You've got 2 out of 2. Frank Muir, for you, a riddle. What's the difference between a cheng and a tune?
A cheng?
Cheng and a tune.
A tune? A cheng?
I can spell them if you want me to.
Yes, please. Spell, here.
Yes, cheng is T-S-C-H-E-N-G and tune is T-S-C-H-U-N-G.
The Chinese.
Yes.
Cheng is the sound made on dropping barbecued spare rib bones onto a Cantonese cymbal. Ching. And tune. Tune is what is played by the Chinese on a comb and rice paper. There's similarity, whatever.
Well,
apart from ch.
Stand up any man who wouldn't give him 2 marks for that. Yes. 2 marks, in your case, 2 marks for being wrong. For any purists who may be listening, a cheng is a Chinese mouth organ, and a chung is a Chinese gong. Just to confuse things, a chang is a Persian harp, but I didn't ask you about that. Opera. 3 questions worth a mark each. David, opera, please, the character and the singer on the record.
Orchestral.
the opera is Mozart's Marriage of Figaro. The character is the Countess. And the singer, I think, is Schwarzkopf.
Yes, there's your 3 marks. That's the way to do it. Dennis, here's your operatic music. Dennis, which aria, which opera, and what is he singing about?
I see. You wouldn't like the record label number. Well, I felt Ian's arm muscle tense, which showed that he was onto it like a flash. So far, I have received the information that it's Rigoletto.
Yes.
And the next bit I heard but could not spell. What was it? Questa e quella. Questa e quella, which means... It's Italian meaning I am looking for a quail. And, or, Questa Quella is the name of the aria. And what else? What other?
Well, roughly what the aria is saying, in effect.
The aria is saying...
in English or in French would be easy.
It's saying women. It's saying I love women. It's saying...
you mad guesser, you.
Yeah. This questa is this, because when you buy something in Rome, you say questo, prego. This one, that one.
Yes, this or that woman. Yes, summit egal. That's right.
Take half that applause in from the left, from the middle aisle to the left is yours.
3 marks for Denis Wallace. Now we now ask Ian Norden to listen to some music. Ian, here's your aria.
Oh, ruddier than the cherry, oh, sweeter than the berry. Oh, ruddier than the cherry, oh, sweeter than the berry. Oh, nimble bright and moonshine night, like fiddling spite and
Ian, opera, please, composer and the singer on the record.
The opera is Acis and Galatea by Handel.
Yes.
And the singer, well, is this a... Can I ask, is this a comparatively modern recording?
Oh, yes.
In that case, it's almost certainly Forbes Robinson.
You're right for your 3rd mark. Well done.
I might add that it highlights one of the great disappointments of my career because shortly towards the end of his life, Sir Thomas Beecham was making a recording of Acis and Galatea and was plucky enough to invite me to sing that very aria, and I was looking forward to it and then got jaundice and couldn't do it, and therefore never had the privilege of singing with Sir Thomas.
Oh, yellower than the cherry.
Yes, yellower than a guinea, I was.
Too bad. 3 marks there. Frank Muir, here's your bit of opera. Frank, first, who was the singer there? Then, who's supposed to have composed the song, and who actually did compose it?
Singer was Figaro.
Well...
It was in many ways a joint effort, Steve.
Yes, you read the wrong line.
The singer was Cherubino. I erred.
That's who it was. That's who was supposed to have composed the song.
Oh, yes. Cherubino. Yes. Well,
Cherubino sang it. Cherubino was supposed to have sung it. Was supposed to have composed it. Mozart composed it.
Oh, Mozart.
It's what he calls a trick question.
Who's the singer, though, on the record, please?
Well, Cherubino. We stick by
Cherubino. No. It was Elisabeth Schumann singing there. That's 2.
Well, it's going back a bit.
Out of 3, yes. Well, we're allowed 2 when we have records. When we have records, access to records as lovely as that one. Looking at the score, leading by 2 marks, David Franklin and Frank Muir. A round of miscellaneous questions about music and musicians. David, you hear about a player winding his horn. Unwound, how long would a French horn be? Estimate, please.
How long is a French horn?
Yes, unwound.
I should say about 9 feet.
I think it's good enough. They vary, I'm told, from 11 to 14 feet in length. I think
but
your
mine
9
was
is
a little
choice.
one.
Depends on the...
You would expect a little mark for it, won't you?
Depends enormously on the temperature.
Oh, tremendously, yes. Depends on the bore for some reason, but that's something we won't go into. Anyway, 1 mark there.
David,
Dennis, what do you know about Bob Major?
Isn't it something to do with change ringing, with bell ringing?
Yes.
With bobs and triples and things?
Yes, that's
Which
right.
some kind of...
What is the word for the study of bell ringing?
Campanology.
Thank you very much, yes. 1 mark. Ian, he was a coal miner. He began by singing Irish ballads, and he's said to have made £40,000 from one American tour. Who was he?
Oh, dear.
It isn't a trick question, but it almost sounds like it. 1 word there might mislead you.
Yes,
Coal miner...
Well, you say he started by singing Irish ballads, which indicates presumably that he's not an Irishman.
Yes, that's right.
An American tour, 40,000. Well, that must be Harry Lauder.
Yes, Sir Harry Lauder. Frank, what is treble stopping?
It's a frightful morning at the dentist's. Or playing the harmonium in boxing gloves, wishing to change the tone.
Find out if it's to do with stringed instruments.
Is it to do with stringed instruments?
Yes, the voice
Should
of
I
your
be
conscience,
fretting?
right as ever, yes.
Oh, you put your finger behind 3 strings, behind the frets, you twang with your plectrum, and you play all 3 notes together, or with 3 fingers, in fact, simultaneously, and that is treble stopping. And I'll shut up if you give me 3 marks.
Yeah, I'll try to sort you out, yes. I, in my innocence, had it in mind that you would do treble stopping on a violin, viola or cello, which doesn't have frets, of course. You do. You stop 3 strings and then you play 3 notes, not simultaneously, you can't, but very nearly simultaneously. 1 mark. We call this next round sevens, because you're going to hear just the first 7 notes of a piece of music. Some easy, some not so easy. 3 marks for answering 3 questions about it. David, what is it, by whom, and when was it first heard? There are your 7 notes.
Well, it's a prelude to Tristan, Isolde.
Yes.
And the date. Wagner wrote this when he was in exile after the 1848 revolution.
Yes.
They tried to produce it in Vienna in 1852, but every time they had a rehearsal, the tenor lost his voice for a fortnight. And Vienna sent the score back to Wagner and said it was unsingable. So it must have been produced after 1852.
Work through the years, David.
I will tell you.
Say early in the 1860s.
Yes, very good. 1865, the first production. Very good, yes. Wagner actually completed Tristan, the score of Tristan, in a house overlooking the Grand Canal in Venice, which still stands on the beginning of the S as you go in from the open water. Anyway, there's your 3 marks. Dennis, whose arrangement of What for Whom? There's your 7 notes.
That was Glenn Miller, for Glenn Miller.
Yes.
String of Pearls.
Yes. Whose arrangement?
Jerry Gray.
Jerry Gray's arrangement, you're right. String of Pearls for Glenn, 3 marks. Ian. Ian, whose, what, and when was it composed?
This is Beethoven.
Yes.
Symphony, the Eroica.
Yes. And when?
Oh, when? I'm terrible on
It's a surprisingly good answer, as a matter of fact.
Well, it depends which war, doesn't it, really?
Doesn't it? Yes.
1773.
No, later than that. I can't give you your third mark. 1803 and 4. He's spent part of 2 years.
We were in the right quarter of a century, give or take a year.
Frank.
Thank you.
Frank, your 7-note piece. Who was in search of whom and where was he searching?
It's not a jumble sale, enthusiast looking for old clothes. It's a gentleman searching for Chloe.
Who was searching?
In the black of night. We've got to go where you are.
Yes, through the distant...
Swamps.
Swampland, actually.
Swampland,
Who was doing the searching? Name on the label.
I think Jerry Colonna did one. It was Spike Jones.
Spike Jones.
Spike Jones in his City Slickers.
Spike Jones, whose claim was that unaided he set the course of music back 2,000 years. You've got 3 marks there. Well, we move on. Now for some vocal work from the teams. David, here's your song.
I've got the key of the door, never been out so late before. Pa says I can do as I like, so shout-pip hooray, for he's a jolly good fellow. And taking into account the fact that the law's been changed, I'm just 18 today.
Yes. 3 marks. Dennis, your song.
If you like to linger where it's shady, ukulele lady like it too. If you kiss a ukulele lady, and you something promised to be true, you find a ukulele lady, that's about as far as I can get.
A bit of treble
came to a treble stop.
You missed out where the tricky wicky wacky...
I know, it ends with a wicky wacky woo.
Anyway, I like you, that was fine. I don't know whether the audience might like to join in with yours, Ian. Anyway, here is your song.
I'll be off to Tipperary in the morning with me shillelagh under me arm and a tooraloo-and-I. I'll be welcome in the home that I was born in. Me mother's told the neighbours that I'm going to settle down. Phil the flute is coming round to play me round the town. Oh, with me shillelagh under me arm and a twinkle in me eye. I'll be off to Tipperary in the morning. And I suppose you meet the Rose of Tralee and Mother McCree. And
Thank you.
Father O'Flynn.
Rare bit of singing, lovely. 3 marks for you. Everybody gets 3 in this round. And here's 3 marks in the song from Frank Muir.
Horses. 3, 4. They're in scarlet, they're in gold, all dressed up, they're sight to behold. The king's horses and the king's men.
1, 2, 3. They're here to fight the foe. You might think so, but oh dear no. They're here because they want to do and put a little girl into the old man's show.
Oh, the king's horses, the king's men. The king's horses and the king's men.
And I'm afraid that's all we have time for this week. I look at the final score and it's a victory for David Franklin and Frank Muir. Goodbye.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. The chairman was Steve Race. questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the programme was produced in London by Tony Schreier. The BBC presents My Music, a musical panel game devised by Edward J. Mason and Tony Schreier. And here's Steve Race to introduce the team.
Hello again. Another My Music. It's been worked out that the average My Music panel member is 6 foot 2.5 inches tall, weighs 190 pounds, lives somewhere in South Buckinghamshire, and is called either Frank Muir, Denis Norden, David Franklin, or Ian Wallace. This first round, as always, can earn you 2 marks. One for the title, another for the composer. So, David, what is this, please, and by whom? It's played especially for you, incidentally, by Wingott's Temperance Band. Here it is.
This is Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yes.
Iolanthe.
Yes.
March of the Peers.
Peers, yes. 2 marks. Sullivan, March of the Peers from Iolanthe. Dennis, you'll know this, I think, if you have quick mental flip through Stokowski's films. Here's yours.
Yes, if you've ever had to manage a theatre where you had acrobats, you will know that the final flip-flops that they do are always done to the music of March of the Hours by Punchinello or something.
Well, you're nearly right on both counts, actually. Not the March of the Hours.
Not the March, the Dance of the Hours.
Dance of the Hours, yes, by...
Ponchielli.
Yeah.
Amilcare Ponchielli, yes. Oh, you get your 2 marks all right there. Ian, for you, something soft.
Well, there can be no doubt at all that it is a quartet.
That's true, that's true.
There is even less doubt that it is Tchaikovsky.
Yes?
I think this is always known as the Andante Cantabile.
Yes, thank you very much. There's your 2 marks. Frank Muir, what's this? What's that, partner?
I don't know how many of you have managed a circus. What? Strauss.
Yes.
Tri-Strauss.
Yes, yes.
Not Richard Strauss, but Tri-Strauss.
No, Tri-Strauss, yes, not Richard Strauss, but...
kind of gallop.
Yes, there's a particular word I'm after here, which can be in German or English. You detected a horse riding going
yes.
there, did you? Supposing there were a fox in front of you, what would you be at?
That would be a hunt.
That would be a hunt, you're right, yes.
Yes,
But you don't shoot foxes.
They do in Bavaria. It's the Hunt by Strauss.
Well, very nice. Yes, The Hunt will do by Strauss for your 2 marks. Everybody's got full marks in the first round. Socially conscious people who want to clean up television and the cinema, sex and violence and all that, might do worse than turn their attention to the operatic stage, where some distinctly ex-certificate things go on. David, here's a pretty tough plot. The hero loves his godchild, but thanks to his political activities, he causes the death of her father and the death of her lover. She, as a result, loses her reason, and he, the hero, has to flee the country. Which opera, which composer, and whose original story?
If it's Tchaikovsky, and it is, Tchaikovsky took the story of Pete Dam and of Eugene Onegin from Pushkin.
Yes, there's a good mark. Well
and
done.
what I was going to say was, although I don't know the name of this opera, I'll have a bob each way on his having lifted the story of this one from Pushkin too.
Yes, well done. You got the mark, if not a bob. Yes.
Good lad.
There you go.
Is this chap anything to do with a hero of Byron's?
Yes.
Mazeppa.
Mazeppa, your third mark. Well done. Dennis, here's an opera story for you. The hero is to be hanged, but the heroine intercedes for him, having arrived on horseback. Which opera, by whom, and where was the first performance?
Horseback. Cool. It's practically exactly the story of Cat Ballou.
Well, you're almost there.
Is it The Girl of the Golden West?
Yes, that's one mark.
And I know that's by Puccini.
Yes. Where was the first performance?
Oh, golly. It was downtown Burbank. New York?
Right, yes, New York. Girl of the Golden West by Puccini was first performed in New York in 1910 at the Met with Caruso and conducted incidentally by Toscanini. 3 marks out of 3. Ian, the potion makes her seem dead, though she's in fact only drugged. Her husband brings poison and dies beside her. Which opera? What is her full name and the full name of the opera's composer?
She's taken a potion. Well, it sounds like Romeo and Juliet.
Well, that's not her full name, is it?
I know, but we're getting there. Don't
Yes. Romeo and Juliet's a mark.
Yes.
Her full name?
Montague or Capulet, one or the other. It's a 2-to-1 chance, isn't it? Capulet.
Yes, so her name's Juliet Capulet. You're
Yes.
right.
Isn't it funny when you think of his name as being Romeo Montague? It is, isn't it?
Sounds like a pop singer of 1950s,
Yes,
doesn't it?
yes.
Banking family.
And the full name of the composer, please.
Is it Russian?
No. Charles Gounod. Gounod's Romeo and Juliet. Frank, Henry lies to his sister and says that Edgar has been untrue, so she agrees to marry Arthur. Which opera, by whom, and what happens on the wedding night?
Well, on the wedding night, he makes a little overture. They have a duet, con amore, and a few months afterwards there's a trio. Well, can they have the resume again?
I'll tell you, I'll give you the whole thing by telling you the Christian name of her, the sister.
Go on, then.
Lucy.
Lucy.
Lucia de Lammermoor.
Lucy de Lammermoor.
Well, all right. Yes, that's
What?
That's right. Composer Donizetti is right. Yes, that's right. And you don't really know what happens on the wedding night, do you? I think 2 out of 3.
I do, but I just don't want to discuss it.
No.
I'll tell you what, if it's opera, they just sit there and sing.
One of those who...
Nothing.
All you wanted to know about opera, but were afraid to ask.
Well, nothing so mundane in this story. Lucy stabs Arthur and then dies herself. Edgar returns and stabs himself. Here are some questions to do with climate. David, what sort of weather and who made the song famous?
I have an idea. It's called April Showers.
Yes, what a good idea you have.
And I've got another idea. It was by Al Jolson.
Yes, made famous by Al Jolson in a show called Bombo in 1921. 2 marks. Dennis, rotten weather, whose music and whose words?
It's a very interesting song, Stormy Weather, because it's one of the few songs that are popular songs that are, have survived and become a standard, which was originally written for a nightclub. And it was a period in the early 30s when Harold Arlen was writing for the Cotton Club Review for a singer in the Duke Ellington band called Ivy Anderson, who was a marvellous blues singer.
Yeah, that's right. Harold Arlen, and I'll give you a clue, because it's a very hard one. This Ted...
I really don't know.
Ted
Jenkins or something.
No, Kohler. Ted Kohler. Very good. Shall we give him 1.5 out of 2? Ian, what sort of weather and whose music?
Which language would you like?
German.
Really?
Finnish.
He's finished before he started.
Urdu.
No, I think it might be better in German because it is Donner und Blitzen.
That's right. A couple of very nice reindeer.
Which is thunder and lightning.
And
Polka.
Music by
Johann Strauss. Yeah. Younger.
Younger, yes. Younger. The second, yes.
Yes, the second.
Yes, 2 marks. Frank, what sort of weather and round which famous building?
A foggy day. In London town.
British Museum.
British Museum is right.
British Museum,
yes,
Great Russell Street.
2 marks for that. The British Museum had lost its charm, the line in the Gershwin song. Here are some snatches of songs that were enormously successful, either on records or in sheet music sales, when they first came out. Just 1 mark for telling me the year in which the song was published. David.
Um, 1963.
Dead right for a mark, yes. Dennis, here's yours. The date, please, for this. Absolutely lovely tune, I think, and I was surprised to find its year of publication.
Yes, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
The chap who wrote it actually never wrote another hit song. He was a review writer, an American, I can't remember his name. And it was way back. It was in the First World War.
That's right.
And I take a guess around about 1917, 18.
1916.
Oh.
You'll get your mark. The tune was called Poor Butterfly. Ian, here's yours.
Well, it's fair to say, isn't it, that was probably another case of the only hit song being written by its composers, so far as I know.
Yeah.
2 ladies who I think played in a trio or a quartet in a cafe, and
anyway, the year.
Yes.
Well, you can get a fix on this
because it was a competition that they went in for.
Just while you are thinking, it was the Hammersmith Palais. That's right. And the panel of judges...
Write a tune for £1,000.
That's right. And the
It
panel
was
of
called
judges...
Cruising Down the River.
That's right. I'm trying to tell you, the panel of judges
Yes.
listened to thousands and thousands of manuscripts, had all these songs played to them by me as a very, very young piano player.
Oh, well then...
As a very, very young piano player.
1908.
Yeah, but,
Oh, I was going to say 1963. No,
10 marks.
About 1949-50.
Just after the war, I would say.
Your mate is right here.
45.
1945. Publication date.
Right, Jim, we had to work hard on that, didn't we?
The song Cruising Down the River, of course. Frank Muir, here's one for you to date.
And baby makes me my blue heaven.
That version by the London Symphony Orchestra.
And it's we think late 20s.
Yes. Would you like to put a number to it?
Yes, 29.
No. Near enough, though. Near enough for 1 mark. 1927. Here's a round that's all about a particular composer and his contemporaries. David, his friends used to greet this Russian composer by saying, "How are you? Not too well, I hope." Why did they say that, and who was he?
In English, too.
I know this. It was Borodin, who was by profession a chemist. I don't mean that he sold razor blades and talcum powder. He was a chemist. And when he wasn't well enough to go to the lab and experiment, he stayed at home.
I see.
He stayed at home and wrote music, and which was his hobby. And he was writing Prince Igor or Prince Igor, and it was just as well that he wasn't very well, because if he hadn't finished writing Prince Igor, they wouldn't have had half the score of Kismet.
Yes, and of course they said, "How are you? Not too well, I hope," meaning we hope you're writing music these days instead of chemistrying. You get 2 out of 2. Dennis, here's some music by that same man. Dennis, what was that tune later borrowed for, and when was it borrowed in?
Kismet.
Yes, the song...
This is my beloved.
Yes, and This is my beloved.
And This is my beloved, to get the extra note in. What was the rest of the question?
When was the show?
When was the show? The show was around about 1951.
No, 1950, good enough. And it came from, I'll give you this, Quartet Number 2 in D major by Borodin. 2 marks to you.
My friend knew that.
Ian, quite often Borodin didn't orchestrate or even finish his own compositions. Which 2 colleagues were the main ones to help him?
Glazunov.
Yes.
The other chap, when he could prize himself away from the flight of the bumblebee, he used to go along and look over Borodin's papers in among the retorts and test tubes. And his name was Rimsky-Korsakov.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes, 2 marks. Frank, for you... Rimsky-Korsakov. What does it represent, and who first introduced the story to Europe?
It signifies in the story Scheherazade.
Yes.
And it's the story of the 1001 Nights, when Scheherazade, to stop she and her companions being decapitated, told the Sultan a story every night for 1001 Nights. And every night, when she finished her story, she'd creep into bed and Scheherazade.
Well, yes, I'm sorry to bore you with it, but who first introduced the story to Europe?
It's a French one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, whose name I can't remember.
Antoine...
Very likely.
Yes.
I would accept that for 1 mark.
I think I must give you your two, but for you full of information. Antoine Galland, famous French Oriental scholar. Next round, there's a passage in Homer which reads, "Then strong men sang and women fell to weeping."
There's no place like Homer.
And this round might remind you of that quotation, as our panel members do sing for 3 marks a go. A song for and from David Franklin.
I walked down the Strand with my hat in my hand, and I walked round again with them off. I'm all airs and graces, correct, easy places. Yes, all together.
Da 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 da, this is I'm Bert.
I haven't a shirt.
My people, well off you know. Almost everyone knows me, from Smith to Lord Rosebery.
I'm Burlington Bertie from Bow.
3 marks, David. Dennis, your song.
Life can be so sweet on the sunny side of the street. Can't you hear that pitter-pat? Why, that happy tune is your step. Just direct your feet. On the sunny side of the street. I used to walk in the shed with my blue. Now I'm...
Oh, come on, Dennis.
And now I'm living in Clover. That was the Mary Maxwell.
All these years, and you've only just gotten onto the trick of doing the first word and letting the audience sing the rest. Very good, yeah.
Their response there was rather like remember in the cinema when they used to put up occasionally a song and you heard the music and they put the words up and a little ball bounced along the word.
And when it got 3 beats at the end of the line, it went to 1, 2, 3.
Yes, I've forgotten that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to have some real community singing now, I think, with your song, Ian.
We'll travel along, singing a song, side by side. Don't know what's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's trouble and sorrow, but we'll travel the road, sharing the load, side by side. Never mind the weather. What if the sky should fall?
Just as long as we're together.
As long as we're together, it doesn't matter at all. When they've all had their troubles. When they've all had their troubles and parted, we'll be the same. We'll be the same as we started. Traveling along, singing a song, side by side. For one terrible moment there, I nearly went into, he never seems to worry.
And the final song for everybody, and especially for Frank Muir. Frank.
Yes, sir, that's my baby now. Yes, Ma, we've decided, no, Ma, we won't hide it. Yes, Ma, you're invited to. By the way, when we meet the preacher, I'll say, yes, that's my baby, no, son, don't baby, yes, son, that's my baby now. Hey.
And I'm afraid that's all we have time for this week. I look at the final score, and it's a victory by 2 marks for David Franklin and Frank Muir.
Taking part in My Music were David Franklin, Frank Muir, Denis Norden, and Ian Wallace. The chairman was Steve Race. The questions were compiled by Edward J. Mason, and the programme was produced in London by Tony Schreier.